I asked Jesus what Zelenskyy is planning against Russia. I needed to know. I needed to understand the truth behind the headlines, the rumors swirling in the shadows, the fears whispered in quiet corners. And what he showed me, what he revealed, was terrifying. At first, I felt a weight pressing down on my chest, an overwhelming sense of dread, as if the air itself had thickened with the weight of unseen dangers. I closed my eyes, and in that silence, I spoke my question aloud. Jesus, what is Zelenskyy really planning against Russia? Tell me the truth. There was a pause, an eternity wrapped in a heartbeat before he answered. His voice was calm, measured, almost gentle, but beneath that calm, I sensed a storm of chaos and secrets. He looked at me with eyes that seemed to pierce through the fabric of reality, as if he was peering into a hidden world no one else dared to see. And what he showed me, it was more than I could have imagined. It was a vision of a future wrapped in shadows, a web of schemes so complex and terrifying that I struggled to breathe. I saw Zelenskyy not just as the leader of Ukraine, but as a figure caught in a web of manipulation, an orchestrator of something darker than anyone could suspect. The plans were not merely military or political. They were deeply strategic, layered with deception and desperation. He revealed a series of clandestine meetings, secret alliances forged behind closed doors, negotiations shrouded in secrecy. I saw figures moving in the dark, whispering in hushed tones, plotting moves that could ignite a chain reaction across the world. It was as if the entire chessboard was set, but the pieces were not just kings and pawns. They were pawns of a much larger, unseen force. What chilled me most was the sense of inevitability, like a storm gathering on the horizon, ready to burst at any moment. I saw the potential for chaos, for conflict spiraling into something far worse than a regional dispute. The plans seemed to involve not just military actions, but cyber warfare, misinformation campaigns, and covert operations that could destabilize entire nations. It was a terrifying dance of power and desperation, each move calculated to push the world closer to the brink. And then, the most unsettling part of all, Jesus showed me a warning. A future where the line between friend and foe blurs, where trust is shattered and nations turn against each other in chaos. A future where the truth is buried beneath layers of deception, and the world is left fumbling in the dark, trying to comprehend what has been done behind closed doors. I felt a deep, overwhelming sense of foreboding, the kind that makes your skin crawl and your mind race with questions. How much of this is already in motion? How close are we to the point of no return? And what can be done to stop it before the darkness consumes everything? As I opened my eyes, the silence in the room felt deafening. The low music of the world spun on, unaware of the storm that was quietly brewing just beneath the surface. And I knew, with chilling certainty, that what I had seen was not just a possibility. It's a warning, a glimpse into a future that hangs in the balance, waiting for the moment to unfold. And so I stand here, haunted by what I saw, compelled to share this truth. Because sometimes the most terrifying revelations are the ones we dare not ignore. There was a moment when I couldn't hold back the weight in my heart anymore. The chaos around me, the endless news of war, the rising fear in my own country. It all became too much to bear. I felt lost, overwhelmed by the sense that I was standing on the edge of something much darker than I could understand. The world seemed to be spiraling out of control, and I found myself questioning everything. What was truly happening behind the scenes, what was coming next, and whether there was any hope of stopping it. I was filled with a mixture of sorrow and confusion, desperate for clarity, for guidance in the midst of the storm. It was then that I turned inward, seeking something greater than myself, something divine. I closed my eyes and silently begged for answers, for a sign that I wasn't alone in this chaos, that there was a purpose to the suffering we were enduring. I whispered my question into the quiet. Jesus, what is Zelenskyy really planning against Russia? What is the truth behind the headlines, the rumors, the fears that keep echoing in my mind? I felt a trembling in my voice, a mixture of hope and dread, because deep down I knew that whatever I was about to hear could change everything I believed in. I prayed not for comfort, but for truth, no matter how terrifying or difficult it might be to accept. And in that sacred silence, I felt his presence. His calm, steady voice entered my heart, and I sensed that he was about to reveal something I needed to see, even if it was unsettling. What he showed me, I can't forget. It was as if a shadow had lifted, revealing a hidden world I had never fully understood before. I saw Zelenskyy, not just as a leader trying to defend his country, but as someone caught in a web of secrets, plans that went far beyond what most of us could imagine. I saw layers of deception, alliances formed in darkness, strategies crafted with a desperation that bordered on obsession. It was not just about military moves or political speech, it was about something deeper, more dangerous. I witnessed clandestine meetings, secret negotiations, and covert operations that hinted at a larger, unseen game being played. My heart ached with the weight of it, knowing that what I was encountering was real, yet feeling helpless in the face of it. The vision was terrifying because it showed how fragile peace truly is, how easily it can be shattered by hidden agendas and unseen forces. I saw cyber warfare, misinformation spreading like wildfire, manipulations designed to destabilize, to push entire nations into chaos. The fear that gripped me was not just about the immediate conflict, but about what could come after, what might happen if these plans succeed. I could feel the darkness creeping closer, a storm gathering on the horizon, threatening to consume everything. And amidst that darkness, I sensed a warning, an urgent call to pay attention, to understand that what lies beneath the surface is more dangerous than anyone realizes. I wondered if we are already too deep into this dangerous game, if the lines between friend and enemy are already blurred beyond recognition. It's hard to describe the feeling, this mixture of helplessness and hope, of fear and faith. I asked myself how much of this is already in motion. How close are we to the breaking point? And what can be done to turn this around before it's too late? As I opened my eyes, the room felt heavier, filled with a silent gravity. The world outside kept spinning, unaware of what I had just seen, what I had just been shown. But I knew with a clarity that chilled me, that this vision was a warning, a divine glimpse into a future that hangs precariously in the balance. I share this now because I believe that honest hearts need to hear the truth, even when it's frightening. Because sometimes the most important revelations are the ones that come from within, from a divine source that sees beyond the chaos and into what truly lies ahead. And I pray that we find the strength and wisdom to face it, whatever may come. There was a moment when I knew I had to step away from everything. Every noise, every distraction that constantly pulled at my attention. I turned off my phone, silencing the endless notifications and alerts that tried to drown out the quiet. I shut the door behind me and deliberately removed myself from the chaos of the world outside. I needed to find a space of solitude, a place where I could truly listen, where my heart could speak without interference. I sat down in a room that felt untouched by the noise. No music, no screens, no voices. Just the stillness that surrounds us when the world pauses, even if only for a moment. The air itself felt heavier, as if the atmosphere was thickening with anticipation, with the weight of what was about to unfold. I closed my eyes and took a slow, deliberate breath, feeling the cool air fill my lungs. With each inhale, I tried to slow my mind, to quiet the racing thoughts that had become an unending storm. My heart pounded softly, but I focused on that steady rhythm, allowing it to anchor me in the present. The silence stretched out endlessly, unbroken by even a whisper. It was as if the room held its breath, waiting alongside me. I felt the heaviness of the air, an almost tangible presence that seemed to press gently but insistently against my chest. It was in this deep stillness, in this sacred pause, that I began to sense something beyond the ordinary. The noise of the world, the news, the fears, the chaos, faded into the background, like a distant echo. Here, in this quiet space, I felt myself becoming more receptive, more open to the divine. I allowed my thoughts to drift, not resisting the silence, but welcoming it. It felt as if I was standing on the edge of something profound, something that demanded patience and reverence. The seconds seemed to slow down, each one stretching into eternity. Every breath I took became more deliberate, more meaningful. I was aware of the stillness not just around me, but inside me, as if the silence was carving out a sacred space in my soul. I could sense that I was on the cusp of something holy, an encounter that required my full attention, my humility, my surrender. The heaviness in the air was no longer oppressive but comforting, like a shroud of divine presence wrapping around me. I knew that I was waiting for a moment that transcended time, a divine moment when clarity would break through the darkness, when answers would come softly but powerfully. I didn't rush it. I allowed the silence to deepen, to expand, knowing that what was about to happen was sacred. And in that pause, I felt a quiet anticipation rising, an unspoken promise that something divine was about to unfold. The stillness became a vessel, holding the weight of divine truth, waiting patiently for its moment to be revealed. I stayed there, in that sacred silence, feeling the presence of the divine, knowing that I was not alone. I was a vessel, a quiet witness to a divine encounter that was about to change everything. And I waited patient, humble, open, ready to receive whatever was about to be shown. In that moment, time itself seemed to halt, a stillness so profound that nothing moved, nothing disturbed the sacred silence. It was as if the universe had paused, holding its breath in reverence for what was about to be revealed. The atmosphere around me transformed into something luminous, warm, and infinitely peaceful, as if a gentle light had begun to seep into the very air I breathed. It wasn't harsh or blinding. Rather, it was a comforting glow that wrapped around me like a divine embrace, filling every space with a sense of sacred presence. The heaviness that once clung to my heart lifted, replaced by an overwhelming awareness that this was a moment of divine truth, a moment where eternity reached into the fabric of my existence. I could feel his presence, not as a distant voice, but as an all-encompassing force that radiated authority and mercy simultaneously. It was the kind of presence that commands respect, yet offers compassion, understanding, and mercy. His words felt like a gentle tide that washed over everything, gentle yet unstoppable, carrying with it an eternal weight of truth. They resonated deep within my soul, echoing beyond time, beyond politics, beyond human judgment. His message was not rooted in opinion or circumstance. It was rooted in the unchanging essence of divine truth, pure, eternal, and unwavering. His tone was both commanding and tender, like a father speaking to a child who desperately needs to hear the truth, knowing that this truth is what will set them free. There was no fear in his voice, only a calm assurance that carried the gravity of eternity. I felt the words settle into my being, like seeds planted in the fertile soil of my soul, destined to grow into understanding and clarity. The truth he revealed was not meant to incite panic or despair, but to awaken a deeper awareness, a divine reminder that nothing hidden escapes his sight, and that all plans, all schemes, are known to him. Yet, his tone carried mercy, an invitation to seek his guidance, to trust in the divine plan that surpasses human understanding. His words were like a balm that healed wounds I didn't fully realize I carried, wounds of fear, confusion, and helplessness. They offered not just knowledge but a divine reassurance that, no matter how dark the world may seem, light and truth are always present, waiting to be uncovered. I sensed that what he was communicating was not just about the surface, but about a divine purpose woven into the very fabric of existence, something that every soul must understand in its own time. His message was both a warning and a promise, a call to humility and faith. It urged me, and all of us, to look beyond what the eyes see and listen beyond what the ears hear. To trust that in the divine silence, in the divine stillness, there is an eternal voice, a voice that speaks of truth, mercy, and hope beyond human measure. As the moment lingered, I felt a divine clarity settle over me, a knowing that what I had received was not just a fleeting message, but an eternal truth rooted in divine love. And in that sacred space of divine presence, I understood that I was held in the mercy of something infinitely greater than myself, a divine plan unfolding in perfect timing, filled with hope even in the face of darkness. I remained there, in that sacred silence, knowing that I had glimpsed the eternal, and that his words would remain with me, guiding me through whatever comes. As I sat in the silence, the divine words echoed deeply within me, stirring a whirlwind of emotions, shock, tears, and a profound sense of realization. What I was shown was not just a glimpse into future plans or strategies. It was a mirror held up to the very soul of our nation. It revealed the truth that many of us have been blind to, how the spiritual and moral condition of our country is intertwined with the darkness that threatens to consume it. I saw how faith has been lost or diluted, replaced by pride, division, and an obsession with power. These are not just political flaws, but spiritual ailments that weaken the very fabric of our collective soul. The divine message was clear. Our nation's strength does not come from military might or political alliances alone, but from the purity of our hearts, the humility of our spirits, and our unwavering trust in divine guidance. But instead, I sensed a growing idolatry, an obsession with control, dominance, and worldly success that blinds us from what truly matters. We have turned our gaze away from divine truth, placing our hope in fleeting victories and worldly achievements. We have allowed division to fester, turning brother against brother, nation against nation, forgetting that our true strength lies in unity rooted in faith and love. The divine words pressed heavily on my heart, reminding me that this is not just a message for one person, one leader, or one side of the conflict. It is a call for everyone, every individual, every family, every community, to examine their own hearts. It's a reminder that the spiritual health of the nation begins with the spiritual health of each person. We are all part of this collective soul, and our actions, our choices, either build up or tear down the moral fabric of our society. The divine message was not just a warning of what could come if we continue down this path, but an urgent plea to awaken, to repent, to turn back to divine truth, and to seek forgiveness for the pride and division that have taken root. It is a call to see beyond the surface, beyond the noise of politics and power struggles, and to recognize the divine image within every human being. Our nation's future depends on this spiritual awakening, on reclaiming faith, humility, and love as our guiding principles. The message was a reminder that true power does not come from domination, but from surrendering to divine sovereignty. That only through humility and reliance on divine strength can we restore what has been broken and heal what has been wounded. I felt the divine urgency. This is not a distant problem for others to solve, but a personal call to each of us. It's about the condition of our own souls and how that condition reflects in the nation as a whole. We cannot ignore the signs of spiritual decay, nor can we afford to dismiss the importance of inner change. Because when the heart is aligned with divine truth, even the darkest shadows can be dispelled by love, mercy, and righteousness. So I ask myself, and I ask everyone listening, are we willing to look inward? Are we willing to humble ourselves before divine authority and seek real transformation? The divine message is clear. Without genuine repentance, without a collective turning back to faith and humility, the nation risks losing its moral compass entirely. But with that surrender, with that divine humility, there is hope, that hope rooted in divine mercy and eternal love. The choice is ours, and the time to choose it is now. As I listened to the divine words, my heart was heavy with the weight of what was shown. The vision was one of darkness and chaos, a looming storm that threatened to consume everything. Yet even in the midst of this judgment, I sensed a gentle, persistent whisper of mercy, a reminder that no soul is beyond redemption. It was as if the Lord, like a shepherd tenderly guiding his flock, was calling us back from the brink, offering hope amidst the storm. The divine message was clear. While judgment may be near if we continue down this path of pride and division, there remains a divine mercy that waits patiently for us to turn, to humble ourselves, and to seek forgiveness. There is still time, if we choose to return to humility, prayer, and love. This vision was not meant to condemn forever, but to awaken our spirits and remind us of the infinite mercy of God. Even in the face of impending chaos, the Lord's desire is for reconciliation and renewal. His patience is vast, His love unending. The storm is not yet here to destroy, but to awaken us to our need for divine grace. The path to redemption is open, and it begins with humility, an honest acknowledgement of our faults, our divisions, and our need for divine guidance. It is through prayer that our hearts can be softened, our minds clear, and our spirits lifted. Prayer is the bridge that connects us to divine mercy, and it is through it that hope is rekindled. The divine message urges us not to despair, but to come together in unity. No longer can we afford to see ourselves as separate or enemies, for we are all part of one human family. The division, the pride, the idolatry of power, these are the shadows that blind us from the truth of our shared humanity. But the light of forgiveness and love can dissolve these shadows if we are willing to open our hearts. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the chains of offense and bitterness, allowing healing to begin. When we forgive one another, we mirror the divine forgiveness that is always available to us. It is in this act of forgiving and seeking forgiveness that true spiritual rebirth occurs. Even now, the Lord is calling us to be peacemakers, to be shepherds of love rather than agents of destruction. The storm may threaten, but it does not have the final word. The divine mercy is greater than any judgment, and it is available for all who truly seek it. We are invited to lay down our weapons, whether of words or actions, and pick up the mantle of humility, compassion, and prayer. It is through unity rooted in divine love that we can rebuild what has been broken, heal what has been wounded, and restore hope for the future. This is a moment for transformation. The divine voice does not speak to condemn, but to call us into a new beginning. The door of grace is still open, but it requires our response. We must turn away from pride and division, and turn toward humility, prayer, and love. The Lord's mercy is waiting, ready to wash away the stains of the past and to renew the spirit of our nation. It is never too late to choose the path of redemption, to embrace forgiveness, and to seek unity as brothers and sisters under God's loving care. So I urge each one of us, look inward, humble yourself before divine truth, and open your heart to the mercy that is always available. The shepherd is calling, and his love is greater than any storm. Let us heed his call, unite in prayer, forgive one another, and walk together on the path of spiritual rebirth. For in God's mercy, there is always hope, always renewal, always life. And with that hope, we can face whatever challenges come, knowing that divine love is greater than any darkness. As I sit quietly now, reflecting on that divine encounter, I am overwhelmed by a mixture of awe, gratitude, and a renewed sense of purpose. What I was shown was terrifying in its implications, yet even more profound in how it changed me. It was as if the veil had been lifted just enough to glimpse the deeper currents beneath the chaos and the noise, currents that run through human hearts and the spiritual realm alike. In that moment, I realized how fragile our world truly is, not just in its physical form but in the spiritual fabric that holds us all together. The vision revealed the darkness that can take root when pride, division, and the pursuit of worldly power drown out the voice of divine truth. Yet, amid that darkness, I felt a gentle whisper, an invitation to look beyond the fear and to see something far more powerful. Divine mercy and love, waiting patiently for our response. This encounter has shifted something deep within me. It has awakened a new awareness that our lives are more interconnected than we often realize. What happens in one corner of the world, in one heart, echoes through the universe. It has reminded me that we are all part of a divine story, each of us a piece of a much greater whole. And in that realization, I find a wellspring of gratitude for the gift of life, for the chance to seek divine truth, and for the opportunity to choose love in the midst of chaos. It's as if a new purpose has been born within me, one that calls me not just to understand, but to truly feel, to empathize, and to hold space for the suffering and hope of others. This purpose is not about judgment or condemnation. It's about awakening to the sacred in every moment and every person, recognizing that the divine is present even in the darkest shadows. I invite you, not as a command but as a gentle ripple of shared humanity, to reflect on your own inner world, to ask yourself where pride or division might be blinding your view, and where love and humility might be waiting to be awakened within. We are all on this journey together, each searching, each stumbling, each seeking a glimpse of divine truth. The divine encounter I experienced has shown me that even in the midst of despair, there is an invitation to remember our divine origin, an invitation to reconnect with love, forgiveness, and compassion. It is in these depths that we find our true strength and purpose. In the quiet of my heart, I feel a profound gratitude for this awakening, for the divine love that continues to reach out, even when we feel lost or overwhelmed. It's a reminder that no matter how dark the night seems, the dawn is always possible, if we open ourselves to it. This experience has awakened within me a deep sense of awe, not just at the divine power, but at the sacred potential within each of us to choose hope, to choose humility, and to become vessels of divine grace. I believe we are all called to wake up, to see beyond the immediate and to recognize the divine hand in every breath, every moment of connection, and every act of kindness. Our world needs this awakening more than ever, and perhaps in some mysterious way, this divine encounter has been given to me, and to all of us, to stir that awakening within our own hearts, to remind us that even in times of turmoil and darkness, the divine love that created us is still present, still active, and still calling us home. So I leave you with this gentle invitation, to listen deeply, to feel sincerely, and to allow your soul to be stirred by the divine presence that is always near. May we all find the courage to wake up, to open our hearts, and to walk in love and humility, trusting that in doing so, we participate in a divine story far greater than ourselves. And in that participation, may we discover the deepest truth, that we are loved beyond measure, and that love is the greatest power of all. As I sit here in quiet reflection, I realize that what I was shown was not just a glimpse into future plans or impending chaos. It was an invitation to look deeper, beyond the surface of words and images. The vision was filled with shadows of darkness and chaos, yet amid that darkness, a gentle whisper of truth and mercy resounded. It reminded me that even in moments of judgment, divine love persists, that mercy is always ready to embrace us if we choose to turn back, to humble ourselves, and to seek the divine with an open heart. What I saw was a warning, yes, but also a summons, a call to awaken to the sacred within ourselves and our nations. The storm may threaten to break over us, but the divine mercy remains with open arms, waiting for us to respond. It's never too late to return to love, to forgiveness, and to unity. The divine message was clear. The path to peace begins with humility and prayer, with recognizing our shared humanity and the divine image in every soul. We are invited to lay down our pride, our divisions, and our fears, and to open ourselves to divine grace. Even in the face of impending turmoil, there is hope. Hope rooted in divine mercy and the willingness to forgive. The divine whisper urged me to remember that we are all part of a larger story, a story written with love and patience. No matter how dark the night may seem, the dawn always waits just beyond the horizon, if we are willing to seek it. The divine love that created us is greater than any conflict, greater than any storm. It calls us to respond with hearts softened by humility and minds attuned to divine truth. This encounter has left me with a profound sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the gift of awareness, for the chance to choose love over fear, and for the divine presence that sustains us even in our most fragile moments. It's a reminder that within each of us lies the potential for transformation. That even in our brokenness, divine grace is still at work, patiently shaping us into vessels of love and peace. I invite you, dear listener, to take this moment not just as a conclusion, but as a sacred pause, to reflect in your own heart on where pride or division might be clouding your vision, and where divine love might be quietly waiting to heal and restore. We are all part of this sacred unfolding, and each of us can choose to respond with humility and compassion. The divine whisper is still speaking, calling us to awaken, to forgive, and to walk in love. Let us listen with open hearts and respond with sincere intention. Because the truth is, even when the storm rages around us, divine mercy is everlasting. It is always present, always patient, and always waiting for us to turn toward it. So I invite you now, pause with me, breathe deeply, feel the quiet strength of divine love settling within your heart. And as you do, remember that this moment of reflection is a sacred space, a place where hope and mercy can take root. If this message has touched your heart in any way, I encourage you to respond not out of obligation, but as an extension of this spiritual connection. Like, comment, subscribe, not just to follow a channel, but to nurture a community rooted in love, humility, and divine truth. Share your thoughts, your prayers, your reflections. Let's walk this sacred journey together, awakening to the divine within us all. Because in the end, what matters most is love, unwavering, eternal, and waiting to be expressed through our actions, our words, and our hearts. Take this moment to carry that love forward, and may it guide you always.